Cassandra Kim, an artist, and I'm testing out synthetic brushes today. I picked 7 major brands of flats and rounds to see which I prefer and why. I want to add before I begin, I have no affiliations with any brush brand or art supply company. All the brushes I'm using were paid for by Visual Arts Passage. The quality of art supplies do not make you a great artist, but it can be nice and possibly enhance your painting experience. This video is merely my opinion, and that of course is biased by my own personal experiences of over 20 years of painting. Let me begin with a minor rant. Round brush sizes are weird. They're like women's jeans. Every brand has their own take on what the size should be. So I aim for the different brands of brushes to be similar size of 3.5 millimeters. In Escoda, that was a size 4. In Rosemary & Co. for Eclipse, that was a size 6. In Shiraz from Rosemary & Co., that was a 3. In Trekell Golden Taklon, that was a 4. But in their Sienna, that was a 10. You get the idea. But with the flats, that I aim to be 9.5 millimeters, and oddly, they're basically the same number 10, except for Rosemary & Co., those are 5. So just be aware when ordering brushes to look at the millimeter size if the width matters. The only way I know how to try brushes out is just to paint with them. I have one round and one flat because that's all you need in its simplest form to execute a painting. I block in with my flat and I draw with my round. I use all the same paint colors and materials with only the brushes being the different variables, so I could really tell the minor differences for the brushes. I'm a mixed media artist and I use both acrylic and oils in my paintings, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just using acrylic paint. You can tell a lot about a brush with how it lays down a stroke and a line, hence my fancy hand-drawn chart here, and you can learn how much a paint holds, the brush textures, and the bristle thickness. The Rosemary & Co. Eclipse here has a coarser, stiffer bristle. It's supposed to mimic mongoose here, which is helpful if you like to lay down thicker paints. It will give a good texture and leave behind nice mark making. It's not so coarse that it doesn't flex well. This brush isn't ideal for painting washes, and I wouldn't use it for watercolor, but it's very good for oil paint and acrylic. I think overall it's a really good brush, but not my favorite. This is also Rosemary & Co., and this brush is Shiraz. The stroke and lines are super smooth, and this has a softer bristle and has a nice snap, so it's not too soft that it will collapse slitted up with paint. The brush is a lower price to Eclipse, and honestly I already prefer it. The prices for this brush are very economical, and the shipping is a bit steep, but it comes all the way from England, and if you're buying a whole bunch at once, I definitely think it's worth it. Packaging deserves a shout out. Rosemary & Co. wrap up these brushes to ship as if it's ready for an egg drop experiment. This is a great brush, simple but good, and it holds a nice tip. Next up is Creative Mark's Mimik Kolinsky. Traditionally, Kolinsky style brushes are more favored with water media like watercolor, gouache, and acrylic over oil. It's not that you can't use it for oil, but because of the sable-like brushes are softer, it leads to the ability to hold more water, so it's really great for washes. I have long handle brushes here just so I could get the bristle size I wanted for the video, but when thinking about long handle brushes versus short handle, it's just a matter of preference. As for these brushes, they're good. Honestly, they're a little forgettable. They do the job. I have nothing bad to say about them though. Escoda Versatil captured my attention because it has great ratings everywhere I looked. But it was a more expensive brush too, so I was curious to see if it was worth the extra money. Off the bat, I will say this was the closest synthetic brush to real hair that I've ever used. It was really impressive. The brand claims it's versatile enough to be used with watercolor, acrylic, and oil, and on that claim I would disagree. I think it's great for watercolor, ink, watered down acrylic, but beyond that I wouldn't use it for oil or any thicker, heavier paints. I really struggled to paint Bride of Frankenstein with these. Trekell is a trusted brand that I've used before, but it's been a while. Several friends of mine really like the Golden Taklon, and they're really affordable, so I wanted to give them a try. These are great brushes. They hold a good tip and they're wonderful for blocking in that also allow for delicate detail. This painting came together really easy. The bristles are soft but still have some strength to it so they don't fold it or a loaded brush. I really like these a lot. I was pleasantly surprised with these brushes. These are also Trekell brand. These are Sienna. And of all the brushes, these were the most expensive of the group. They're real nice. I got a nice smooth stroke here and line. I genuinely could use these brushes across watercolor, acrylic, and oil. Some of the other brands claimed this, and I disagreed with them, but here I think it's actually true. That being said, they're not so high above the others in quality that warrants the extra money. Forgive me, I'm extremely frugal. I've been using the same $2 brush for gesso for 2 years. Okay, so I told you I was biased, and this is my brush I always use, Princeton Velvetouch. I love them. These are what I compare all the other brushes against. I can't make claims to the lasting power of the other brands yet. I'll need to use them more for that. This video I'm rating based on just initial use. These continue to be wonderful and extremely affordable. I probably could make a whole video of trying different Princeton brushes just because it's a solid brand with a variety of options. These brushes can hold their bristles formed through a lot of abuse. And my top pick is Trekell Golden Taklon. Honestly, I was so surprised by this, but I love them. My only complaint is that when the round brush dried, it didn't hold its form quite as well as Velvetouch, and Velvetouch was a real close runner-up. I hope this helped. Happy painting, and thank you so much! I hope you enjoyed my monster mashup collection of painting and brush review here. All these brushes were good, and they're fine to use. I have nothing negative to say. I'm happy to report to you, though, that you don't need to be independently wealthy to get good brushes. The more expensive synthetic brush didn't overshadow the moderately priced ones. If you clean your brushes with soap after every use and use some brush restore, your brushes can last a long time without needing to be replaced. The real expensive brushes are the ones created with real hair. When it comes to using acrylic paint, real hair isn't even recommended anyways, and no animals were harmed with these, so win-win. Synthetic, it will always be my pick.